Someone says one wrong thing to you and suddenly your whole day is ruined, your heart races, your mind spirals, and you can't stop thinking about it for hours, maybe even days, while some people around you, they just stay calm like nothing even happened. What do they know that you don't? In this video, we're going to break down the exact psychology behind why some people never get triggered and how you can become one of them. Everything will be explained in the simplest way possible, so stick with me till the end. Let's start with something uncomfortable. Most people walk through life like they're carrying an invisible backpack. And inside that backpack, old wounds, past rejections, unhealed pain, childhood insecurities. Every time someone says something that brushes against one of those wounds, you explode, not because of what they said, but because of what you've been carrying. Think about it, someone calls you lazy. If deep down you don't believe you're lazy, you just laugh it off. But if somewhere inside you fear you might actually be lazy, that comment burns, it triggers you because it touched something you've been hiding from yourself. This is the first secret. People who never get triggered have done the inner work, they've looked at their wounds, they've healed the parts of themselves that used to hurt. So when someone throws an insult or acts disrespectfully, there's nothing inside them for it to stick to, it just bounces off. Now let me explain what's happening in your brain when you get triggered. There's a small part of your brain called the amygdala. Think of it like an alarm system. When it senses danger, it hits the panic button. Your body floods with stress hormones, you go into fight or flight mode. And here's the problem, your amygdala can't tell the difference between a physical threat and an emotional one. So when someone criticizes you, insults you, or disrespects you, your brain reacts the same way it would if a wild animal was chasing you. You're not actually in danger, but your body thinks you are. That's why you feel that heat in your chest, that rush of anger, that need to defend yourself immediately. People who don't get triggered have trained their brain differently. They've created space between the trigger and their reaction. Let me say that again, space between the trigger and the reaction. Most people go from trigger to reaction in 1 second. No pause, no thought, just pure emotion. But calm people, they pause, they observe, they choose how to respond. Here's a real-life example. Imagine you're in a meeting. Someone cuts you off and takes credit for your idea. A normal person gets triggered instantly. Their face turns red, they argue, they feel disrespected. They carry that anger home, but someone who's mastered their triggers, they notice the emotion rising, they feel it, but they don't become it. They stay calm, they address it later in a smart way. Or they let it go completely because they know their worth isn't defined by one moment. The difference isn't that they don't feel anything, they feel everything, but they don't let the feeling control them. Now let's talk about ego. This is deep, so pay close attention. Your ego is the part of you that needs to be right, needs to be respected, needs to win. And every time your ego feels attacked, you get triggered. People who stay calm have learned to separate themselves from their ego. They don't take things personally because they understand something powerful. Other people's behavior is about them, not you. When someone is rude to you, it's because they're in pain. When someone projects their insecurities onto you, it's because they're struggling. When someone tries to bring you down, it's because they feel small. Once you understand this, you stop reacting, because you realize you're not the problem, they are, and their behavior has nothing to do with your value. Let me give you another example. You post something online, someone leaves a hateful comment. If you're emotionally weak, you argue with them, you try to defend yourself, you lose sleep over it, but if you're emotionally strong, you smile, because you know that happy people don't spread hate, hurt people do, and you're not going to let a hurt person steal your peace. This brings me to the next secret. People who don't get triggered have something called emotional independence. They don't need external validation to feel good about themselves. Most people are emotionally dependent. They need compliments, they need approval, they need people to agree with them, so when someone doesn't give them that, they break. But emotionally independent people, they validate themselves, they know who they are, they know their worth, so whether you praise them or insult them, it doesn't change how they see themselves. That's true power. Here's how you start building this. First, you have to become aware of your triggers. What makes you lose your cool? Is it when people question your intelligence, when they ignore you, when they don't respect your time? Write it down. Awareness is the first step to change. Second, when you feel triggered, pause, don't react immediately. Take 3 deep breaths. Ask yourself, why does this bother me so much? What wound is this touching? Most of the time, you'll realize the trigger isn't about the present moment. It's about something old, something unhealed. Third, separate facts from feelings. Just because you feel disrespected doesn't mean you were actually disrespected. Just because you feel attacked doesn't mean someone attacked you. Your feelings are valid, but they're not always accurate. Learn to question them. Fourth, practice detachment. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop letting external things control your internal peace. Someone doesn't like you, that's okay. Someone criticizes you, that's their opinion. Someone tries to provoke you, that's their problem. You stay grounded in who you are. Fifth, build your self-worth from the inside. Stop looking for people to make you feel valuable. You are valuable because you exist. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. When you believe this deeply, nothing anyone says can shake you. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. The calmest people you know have probably been through the most pain. They're not calm because life was easy. They're calm because life broke them and they chose to rebuild themselves stronger. They've been triggered so many times that they finally decided to heal the root cause instead of just reacting to the symptoms. That's the real secret. Healing, not avoiding, not pretending, not suppressing, actually going into the painful places inside you and making peace with them. When you do that, you become untouchable, not because nothing bothers you, but because you've done the work and now you're free. Think about the person who cut you off in traffic last week. You probably got angry. But imagine if you knew that person just lost their job, or their parent is sick, or they're going through a divorce. Would you still be angry? Probably not. You'd feel compassion. This is the mindset shift. When you stop taking things personally and start seeing everyone as a human being fighting their own battle, you stop getting triggered. People who never get triggered have mastered one final thing. They choose their battles. They understand that not everything deserves a reaction. Not every comment needs a response. Not every disrespect needs to be addressed. Sometimes silence is the most powerful response. Sometimes walking away is the strongest move. Sometimes staying calm is the biggest win. So here's what I want you to do. Starting today, every time you feel triggered, pause just for 5 seconds. In those 5 seconds, ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Will this matter in a week? Am I reacting from a place of strength or weakness? Most of the time, you'll realize it's not worth it, and you'll choose calm over chaos. This is how you become the person who never gets triggered, not by pretending you don't feel anything, but by feeling everything and choosing not to let it control you. That's real emotional mastery, that's real power, and it's available to you right now if you're willing to do the work. Take a moment today, think about what triggers you most, and ask yourself, what is this really about? The answer will change everything.